I admire anyone who takes on the unenviable after lunch position. But I have great confidence in Katrena being able to make it a lively and enlivening experience. Particularly she's going to talk about turning clients into advocates, one of my favourite topics. So Katrena is a fully qualified international speaker, trainer, therapist, facilitator, coach and award-winning author of Sex Sells, which I personally think you should lead with as your topics. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Katrena Friel.
Thank you very much. I love it after lunch as the carbs are all in your stomach. Now, everyone's scattered and I've noticed that that's been happening right throughout. That changes the energy completely, when everyone's a bit over there, a bit over there. If you don't mind, could you just roll your eyes and go, she's not going to make us move, is she? Yes, she is. Could you just get up and come a little closer? And that way I can work half as hard. And it's all just here, and I can just hang here, and it'll be all cool and groovy. And then you can go back to your little places later on. But for now, let's get close, let's get intimate, and I do like touching people inappropriately. So preferably the men maybe around close by. You're not really sure if you want to be touched appropriately. But yeah, just snuggle up a little bit, don't even worry. If anyone that interacts with me or allows me to touch them will get a book. There it is. So, yeah, great. So you're in the touch industry. No, you have to work a little harder than just that. A little harder. So if I ask questions, this will be a reward, just so you know. And I've got some handouts too. So some of you might go, oh, what was that slide? I really want to record that slide. I've got some handouts. Maybe for everyone, I just don't know how many I've got. But anyway, let's get started. Hands up, who is a great lover? Now, how embarrassing for those that didn't get up. Let's just try again. Even if you're not great at making love, put up your hand anyway, because I think people are looking. It's embarrassing. Anyway, hands up who's a great lover. Excellent. Now, what that means is, if you are a great lover, you are a great salesperson. And so what I discovered about, 3 or 4 years ago, I got this idea of correlating everything sexual, anything to do with sex and relationships and dating and kissing, you know, the first kiss, the making love with your husband 26 years later, and how all that works. I put all that together. Oh, sorry, too personal. Yeah, I'll keep it generic. Anyway, I thought, imagine, because I've been in sales all my life, imagine if we could overlay everything to do with the sex and stuff onto the sales process. So that's essentially what the book is. But when I speak, I don't think you're really in the mood for too much sex stuff. So I have a G-rated version, a PG version, an R version, an X version, and then a triple X version. And when I asked Aspa, you know, what version would you like? They said G. And that's the response I was looking for. Because isn't it disappointing that I'm not going to be able to really go for it? Love to go for it. You should see me at parties. Get me along at parties and I'll talk about sex.
They meant spot, not general.
Pardon?
They meant G-spot.
You are too smart even for me. Oh my God, get over here, I'm going to want to touch you. Get over there, that is smart there. Fantastic. So anyway, let's sort of do a corporate version, I suppose. But if you want to get me to come to your place of work or a conference that you're doing, have a think about how far you want me to go. Right? So, I don't do actual doing it. It never ever goes that far. But anyway, hands up is a great lover. I really feel strongly about the correlation between everything that makes you a great lover and put that against everything from the sales process, from the very beginning right through to the very sort of end, perhaps, of, let's say, a long-term marriage type relationship. Does that make sense? Right through. So, okay, so that is out of the way. That makes you a great salesperson. So, what do you think are the things that might start that all off? So think back to the dating, think back to even pre-dating. What do you do before? Okay, so we're in the nightclub, aren't we? And we're going, oh, across the, I know.
Drunk, excited.
Usually drunk, usually a little bit drunk, your eyes are dilated, and you've seen the person, whether it's males, females, whatever you're into. I know the gay community, for instance, are very good at the eye contact across the room. They make it really simple. But for heteros, I think it tends to be a little bit more complex. But essentially it starts with just a glimpse, doesn't it? Just a minor glimpse. Now, they're either interested in you or they're not. So how do we relay that back to business? How does that, what's the similarity? Think about it. Right, on what? Exactly. So it could be a glimpse on a Facebook page. It could be the glimpse of, Googling something and finding your web page. And they might just glimpse and look away and never look back at you because something else caught their attention. You see? So we can go on. What's the sort of next thing? Let's progress a little.
Communicate.
Now, for those of you who have been married for 26 years like me, it's hard to remember. I know. What was it? Sorry, what did you say?
Communicating, making contact.
Okay, so you might have some kind of chit-chat situation. And at that point, let's think about that in our business. What might that be? If we're... So we're on the phone, aren't we, generally, having a bit of a chit-chat, and I hang up the phone and go, nah. Don't we? Just like we're in a nightclub and we talk to the guy and they go, I'm just going to the loo, won't be a moment, and you never go back. You don't have Or whatever's the sort of the polite accent. It's similar, isn't it? They ring up your business and they go, oh, yeah, how much of this, how much of that, oh, what do you do, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and never ring you again. All right, so you get the idea how far you can go with this. When I'm doing sales training, I talk that process right through. We throw in there right down to fetishes and, all sorts of things you can get right into. Let's not go there, because I'll get horny and I just can't afford to get horny just right now, but maybe later on. Anyway, so thinking about you guys from the point of view of the owner, is everyone in this room an owner? Hands up who's a staff member, not an owner of a business. Okay, good. It just helps me pitch it right. So what we'll do is, because you guys are, I'm assuming, are pretty smart, switched on people, let's just assume. I know if you're not, don't worry. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to try and do is just add double the value in that I want to talk from the staff point of view so that you grow and develop and get something out of the presentation. And for the owners, I want to do it from your point of view so that you're getting it from that perspective. Now, when I say to you, have you got the eye of the owner, what do you think I'm referring to? Okay, so if you're not the owner, has the staff got the eye of the owner? And if the staff people, what do you think I'm talking about?
It's like that you treat the business like you own it.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So what would that mean?
You're passionate.
You would have passion. You would have ownership. You would have a sense of ownership. Absolutely. What else? You would have confidence in you, the team, the manager, the owner, the processes, all the confidence of whatever. Yeah, what else?
Trust.
You would have trust. You would have a clear vision 100%. Absolutely. You would have knowledge and experience and skills. Absolutely.
An image for the company.
You would want to follow the image or set the standard of the image. Absolutely. So did everyone write all those ideas down? No. You lazy bitches, seriously. Yeah, it's not in there. But anyway, you get the idea. So just think about when you get that slide, do a little bit of a mind map for what is the eye of the owner for you, and include the things that we've mentioned. There's my first bit. Okay. So the I, the owner. Now, if we look at that and go, okay, so let's do I, the owner, 10 out of 10 up here. And let's say this is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Say this is halfway. Now that's all engaged in the business on some level. And you know how we have some new staff members? They're often, aren't you really excited when you start a new role? You're kind of really taking ownership, taking responsibility. You know, you're working everything out. Often you're quite high up here at say a 9. And then over time, what happens in a business is they get slowly disengaged and they start to lose all those things we listed. And then after we move down to a 5, what starts to happen is we're now into disengaged. So but on a 4, 3, 2, 1, right down to the other half is the fat cat mentality. The fat cat mentality is not very sexy. Whereas I, the owner, up here, somewhere up here, it's very sexy, very attractive, and success attracts success, and a crowd attracts a crowd, and business tends to go really well. Whereas when you get too much of this energy going on, it becomes the fat cat mentality, and you can create a business like this. And has anyone worked for a fat cat? These people, just to remind you, are, doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to get paid on Friday. Now, usually people laugh at that point, only because we've all worked with people like that. But I agree with you. I don't think it's funny. I think that this behaviour and everything on this side of the fence is actually stealing. So there's staff, thousands and thousands of people around the world that go into businesses every single day in this energy and go, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm just going to go into the owner's wallet and take the money out. I'm not going to offer any value. Whereas these people often give you twice the value, 3 times the value, 10 times the value, whatever. Yeah, they're all good value. Whereas down here. So what I want you to do is either think about where you are on the scale as a person inside your business, as a staff member, and as an eye of the owner, as an actual owner, think about where you are. How passionate, enthusiastic, have you got a vision for your business, blah, blah, blah. What level are you on? How engaged are you in your business as an actual owner? But as staff, when I do it with staff and a group of a bit of a team thing, I get them to go, oh, I started my job at a 9, and after 3 years I'm now a 6. And then when I might go one-on-one with them, they'll go, before I get to a 4, I'm going to leave. Because I know when I want to leave a job or leave doing something is when I'm starting to slide down that scale. Get out before I start causing damage and start stealing. Does that make sense? So you just have a mental think. Just have a little think about where is your staff at, where would you plot them? Think about where you're at and where would you plot yourself. Just have a think about it. Have a think about it. What could you do to move them up, back up and re-engage in the business? What could you do personally in your own personal or professional development to re-engage you in your business? Or could you just have a vision day? Have you ever done vision boarding or getting the vision straight and clear? Imagine what that would do for the team. It would be amazing. Anyway, there's 50 million things you can do. Ask me later. This is just the first concept. Always start at this place. So after that, we then layered that in as the first foundation principle. Now we're going to put on top of that 5 key principles. And what I want you to do is every time you see one of the 5 principles is write it down and give yourself a rating out of 10 for where you are with that particular characteristic. And then write another number as to where you'd like that number to be in 12 months from now. And if I don't happen to mention an idea of how to improve that, feel free to come talk to me or email me or whatever and ask me for some ideas on how to improve from the number you are currently to the potential number you'd like to be. Alright, so the first sexy essential, this is to make staff and owners really, really sexy, is personal power. Why do you think that would be sexy?
When someone's confident that they've got that
factor.
Yeah, they ooze that, and so people then gravitate towards you and see people around. It's like
Pretty
being
sexy,
at a
isn't it?
conference.
Yes, personal power is incredibly attractive, incredibly attractive. Now, I'll do an extreme version of somebody with personal power walking into a room to look after a client, and I'll also do another character of someone with no personal power walking into a room, and it's an extreme example, okay, just so you get the idea. Okay, everything ready to go? Fantastic, let's go. All right, so just own the room, own the space, own the door, own the customer. You know, you own the space. Compared to this. Now, at that point, I just want to shoot them in the head, don't you? Now, I call that insipid. It's weaselly. It's like I do the character as like Mr. Weasel out of that book. And notice how did you notice my voice got shallow and breathy? So I have to drop my body and make myself smaller because I deserve to be down there, don't I? Because if you've got no personal power, there's no way you could walk around just owning your own little area. So watch for just the body posture. That'll give you an indication. Then watch the breath. People with low personal power don't believe they deserve to suck up any air in the room. So when I walked in the first time, I would have taken a big breath to go in. Hello, nice to meet you. Are you comfortable? Everything okay? Shall we get started now? Versus they can't even breathe, so they can't even speak, which means they can't even communicate, which means it's kind of all over. And now it's become ew, these people are actually going to touch me. How gross. Make sense? So don't worry too much about those two extremes. Think about where you are. Are you a 9, an 8, a 7, a 6? And if you're a 6, would you like to be an 8? What would it take for you? What would you need to do to get those 2 points? Just have a think about that. So write a current rating and a potential rating. Oh, I'm getting so puffed. Ooh, second one. Second one is emotional intelligence. So who's read the book, Emotional Intelligence? Goes back 25 years, 30 years. Yeah. It's a good old classic. If you haven't read it, it's probably an important text. It would be up there with all the classics. So there's probably about 10 or 20 books you should read, and that would be one of them. But here it is. Normally I might train a day on EQ, or I might do a half-day session on EQ, or I could even do 2 hours on EQ, but you're going to get it in 5 seconds. So if you never read the book, at least you know what it is and how it's constructed. So before you go into these 5 key areas, above that is one part, know thyself. So know thyself is 50% of emotional intelligence. And everyone knows, don't they, when they meet someone who's not very self-aware, you kind of go, really? You don't know? And no one tells them. And then the other half of EQ is know your impact on others. So there's no way you could do this half without this half. Does that make sense? So, in a business, let's take a manager or an owner, for example. What happens is, let's say they go, oh, bloody hell, I'm so furious, this bloody staff member lets me down every bloody week, I'm so furious, I'm so angry, and just pretend I'm acting really, really, really angry. I just don't want to scare you too much, okay? Then they go up to the person and they go, this is the last time you're late, I can't believe it, blah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. We've all had that happen 20 years ago. So what's going on there, just as an example, is they don't know why they've been triggered. What is it about themselves that particular behaviour made them angry? Get curious about, oh, I'm furious, I'm angry, what's happened there? You go inside and you work out why you got angry, what's happened, what's the trigger for you, get some self-awareness. Then you come over here and you say to the person, just to let you know, yesterday I was absolutely furious. And if you come in late one more time, I'm afraid it will be a first warning. Can you see that I'm talking about the emotion when I'm not actually in the emotion? That's EQ. The first example where they go, rah, and bitch to their friends and their husbands, and then come over here and blast the staff member, it's low EQ, because guess what they do to the next day? They say, I'm sorry. Whereas in my view, what I try to teach leaders and managers and anyone is that we have to own our own emotions, and no one is paid enough to put up with our moods. No one. I don't care if you're on $250,000 a year, you're still not paid enough to put up with people's things. Yeah? EQ helps that, because it makes you have a look at yourself and see, okay, so what is going on for me? So that's EQ in a real nutshell. Now let's just drill a little bit underneath that. And I want you to give yourself points out of 10 for each one. First one, self-awareness. We've kind of talked about it a bit. How self-aware are you? And you'll know because you would have worked on yourself for the last 20 years. I remember at 25, I had a spiritual awakening, and I've just never been the same since. And I've been on a journey of discovery. And I tell you what, when you stand up here for a living, what happens is, if you're not self-aware, all your shit is magnified by 10. So if I haven't done the work and I've got insecurities or something going on inside of me, you'll feel it. You won't know maybe what it is exactly. You'll just feel something's not quite congruent. Does that make sense? Yeah? Great. So have a think about your self-awareness. How much work have you done on it? Da-da-da-da-da. You're either into it or you're not. And if you're sitting there going, what is self-awareness? What the frig is she talking about? Then don't even worry about doing the rest of the exercises. But it's not likely for you guys will be like that. Anyway, self-regulation. Okay, so self-regulation is, give yourself a rating out of 10 for how well you self-regulate. So just to show you how serious this is, Amy Winehouse died not because of the other 4 things, but because of self-regulation. Anyone that's a bit overweight or a lot overweight or drinks too much or smokes and does all those things that I do has a self-regulation issue. Does that make sense? Okay, so have a little think now. When I look at somebody like this woman here, I can just look at you and just tell me if I'm correct, you self-regulate very, very well.
I like to drink and smoke and self-regulate.
Great answer, I'm going to steal
It's
that.
all about balance.
Okay, fantastic. And you do look like you've got it together. I don't know why, I just get a sense of that when she walks in, she owns the room. And do you drink and smoke? Or you were joking? Occasionally.
Occasionally.
But not as much as me.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, you get the idea. So anyone that's, look, pretty much we've all got issues with this, just some more extreme than the others. So give yourself a point. For me, I would give myself probably 5 years ago when I was size 24, I would have given myself a very low score of, say, 4. It's an ongoing journey for me just to get better and better and better at it, but that's with all of this stuff anyway. So I'd probably give myself a 6, but gosh, I could be heaps better. Heaps better. Like yesterday, they knocked on my door and gave me a little plate of little macarons, is that right? Macarons, and I ate them all. Yeah, so did I have to do that? Was I starving? No. Did I, just those choices. It's when I make that choice 1,000 times in a year, that's why, because my ass will be in this. Make sense? So that's all it is. So and you've got to want to do it. You've got to want to. If I really wanted to be a size 10, I probably would be, but obviously I'm not that motivated. All right, that brings us to the next one. So what about how motivated you are? How much get up and go have you got? Natural motivation. And people that don't have any will know. They just are those bit more lackadaisical, it doesn't really matter, just go with the flow. And their life will reflect that. And if they're cool with it, that's fine. It's just most of us in the room, I'm assuming, has got quite a lot of drive inside of us. So give yourself a mark. what you currently are would like to be. Next one, empathy. Empathy is being able to put yourself into other people's shoes. Some people are highly empathic, meaning when I'm in therapy with people, when they talk about their pain, I physically feel it. Now that's not great if you don't know how to manage that. Yeah, so if you guys are highly empathic, you're almost on the point of psychic, it's because you can feel where other people are going with stuff. So if you're very high there, great, high IQ. Other people, some people put up their hands. I've been doing like accountants or let's say engineers, and they go, what are you talking about? They have no idea. They go, why would I be interested in people? And I go, okay, so now's not the time to be discussing it, but that's a real issue. Most people have some level of empathy, surely, unless they're extremely, and there's names for the diseases and psychological problems, aren't there? Yes. That's on the extreme, where they just don't feel it. They just don't feel it. They can kill and it's fine. Anyway, last one is social skills. So give yourself a rating for how good you are, where you can just rock up into a party and just, I don't know, make a friend. This will help you. It's a very important skill to have. And notice how successful the people without that skill are. They just can't bond with a customer. They just can't make a cold call. They just can't do these things. That's where a coach comes in. We've got to get them to break through some of that stuff. I don't even believe shy is a set standard behaviour. I think that's a creative programming. I think anxiety, social anxiety, I think that's just programming. We can get rid of that. People who are just very introverted, I talk about shades of grey and that I was born an introvert, so that I'm sort of walking proof that you can go beyond that. La la la, okay? So social skills have what's your current rating and what would you like it to be. All right, so then you add it all up, have a little look, and look at your gaps. What points are you chasing? What's your little gap? And that's your EQ. So how long did that take? 5 minutes to sort of get you up to speed. That's basically all you need to know and start working on some of those things. That'll make you so much more sexier in business and in your personal life because EQ is where it's at. Did you know that there's 9 intelligences? I'm 44. When we were at school, all they measured was our IQ. And I was like a dumb shit, apparently. Yeah, because if IQ and me passing tests, is that the best way for me to learn? Probably not. But imagine if they were doing EQ, you know, or all the other nine intelligences, it would have been really good. But in business, what's happened over the last 30 years, as some of you know, is EQ is just the golden boy. It's totally the golden boy. So if you haven't heard about it, I strongly suggest you work on some of these things. Read the book, get into it, because it really is highly valued in leadership, management, training, etc., etc. If you want to do a little quiz, I've got a quiz, just email me, I'll send you a little quiz and you can go a little deeper into all of that if you're interested. Nice, quick, tick and flick type one, easy, just to see where you're at. Alright, so we've done 2 key characteristics, this is the third one. The third one is initiative. We've already mentioned motivation. Initiative is, notice the bird is on fire. Give yourself a rating for how much fire you have in your belly for stuff. Now this is a general rating because what happens with different activities is I get lots of fire on some things and then I'm barely able to get out of bed at the thought of other things like bats and woodkeeping and so. Alright, so that's not my passion. So I don't have a lot of fire about doing my books. So the quicker you can get a bookkeeper, honestly, the better, I say. Because then I can get my fire burning on stuff. Now the other thing to think about with fire, have you noticed that some people have heaps of fire and it doesn't last very long? You know, it just goes out quick. I call them fast burners. So sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll go, oh my God, and I'll just talk about it for a whole day and then do nothing about it. So then I know, okay, so that was a fast burn, might come back to it, but not a lot of heat there. Not a lot of lasting heat anyway. Whereas with other things like writing my book, this was for me a very slow burn. I was talking about it, and I was talking about it, and I was asking people what they thought about it, and then I started to have meetings to, with sales, people in the sales industry, what they thought about it. Went on for years. And I thought, whoa, Katrena, that's not like you. It wasn't a fast burn at all, it was a nice slow burn. So by the time I sat down to write it, there was heaps of heat, lots of charcoal, lots of, it really lasted right up until the point where now we're into the second edition and it's got like award-winning on it now. I get to have that little medal on there. So now I don't care. I go award-winning also, you that'll do. Won one award. Looks like a wine bottle, I reckon. Maybe I want 3, depends. But look, I'll move on to do another one. Doesn't matter. It's actually easy to write a book. So anyway, that's if you've got enough initiative. You've got to have it on a slow burn note, but I do like the fast burn on some stuff. But really, we're looking for heat. Long-term heat. You've got to have long-term heat for your business, long-term heat for your staff, long-term heat for your processes, systems. Grant was talking about the numbers. I mean, you've got to get a slow heat on that. You've got to. Not, I'm not really good with numbers, I'm terrible at maths at school, let's just forget about it. Really? Oh my God, you're setting yourself up to be burnt. Makes sense? So, look, I probably wasn't considered to be a maths person or a numbers guy, but what I did was I educated myself and I remember going to one of those courses, Finance for Non-Financial People, and I had a trainer there, just a half-day program, nothing too boisterous, just talking about the numbers. I walked out wanting to become a management accountant. Seriously, he made the numbers so creative and interesting, and I was like, these numbers are magical. Anyway, ridiculous. Never thought I could be that excited about numbers. But just one little thing like Grant recommended is get to a little course. You might find you have the same experience. It's just about mindset, really, isn't it? You think it's dull and boring. You're losing your heat on it. You can make it as hard on yourself or as easy on yourself. So when you get right up into real personal development, you really know yourself. You actually know how to turn the heat up and down whenever you need to. Perfectly cooking everything to your liking. Next one. Next one is confidence. Somebody mentioned confidence earlier. I like to mention it in a little bit more detail so you can see the structure of confidence. Now your staff will come in having gone from high confidence at their old job, they knew everything about it, to low confidence now in their new job. But how long? With experience, it probably won't take them long to get back up because it's a similar industry or a similar processes that they're doing. Whereas imagine when you change careers altogether, you go from master of your game to baby, have no idea, and that could take longer. So getting up to full confidence is different for different things. But what I want you to do is give yourself a general rating, current rating, potential rating, for confidence, because you do have a general setting. You're either a reasonably confident person over here, or you generally will lack confidence on most things sort of around here. And here's the structure of it. You've got to have self-belief. There has to be an element of that for you to be confident on whatever thing you're thinking about. You've got to think it'll add value to you or to something. So self-value has to be there. And then you've got to be self-assured enough to stick with it long enough to practice it to get good at it. Does that make sense? So let's take public speaking for an example. So part of my business, I believe everyone in business should be out there educating people about whatever it is that they're fantastic at. And then from that education experience, people come to your business and interact with you. All right? So how many in the room are a 9 to 9.5 on speaking in public? In confidence. Okay, fantastic. Who's sort of an 8-ish, 7-ish? 6-ish, 5-ish, okay, so any 5? Okay, so it's completely outside your comfort zone. Yeah? You don't like it? 5?
Yep.
She can barely even speak to me right now. Right? It's uncomfortable, yeah, to speak standing up here.
could actually speak, but at times it's the audience that you have.
They're bitches, aren't they? I agree with you. It does depend on your audiences. I'm just going to do a little experiment with her. Do you believe, just to check in with you, like your little heart and your little gut, do you believe that you actually could stand up here?
Yes, I do.
Did you hear the yes I could quite quickly and the commitment there? Did you hear the tone in that? That's very good. I'm listening as a coach now or as a therapist. Do you believe that if you were to speak on something, do you think that you would probably add value to people's lives? Like, it's likely. Yes? Did you hear it's a little softer that time? Did you hear that? She does believe she would add value, but she's not completely convinced yet. So I would probably work a little in that area to convince her. Yeah? Do you think that if you did have to speak and you'd prepared and everything, do you think you'd sort of really prep and put the time in so that you were organised and you had it together? Now, I know she's a practicer. There's no way she'd ever just get up and shoot from the hips. Yeah, you can see she's an organised person. She put a lot of effort in. She prep, which sets you up for success, as we know. So the only area stopping her from getting up here and speaking next year is I would be working on just the self-value. And that's probably because there's no context about what would she be speaking on. Like, there's no detail there. It was just a generic conversation. Does that make sense? But I reckon if we came up with a topic, she'd turn the volume up there. All right, so you guys do that whenever you feel like, I can't do it. Just go through those 3 points and see where does it sit for you, and jump on the phone to a friend, talk to a supportive person, ring me if you need some clearing, or ring somebody just to clear it or have a decent conversation around it. Because most people would say, oh, don't, it's too hard. Oh, because they'll put their fear on top of your fear. And so if you talk to the wrong person about something like that, they'll go, oh no, don't do it, I wouldn't. So if you want to write a book, don't go to somebody who'd go, oh, don't write a book, oh God, that would be so unsuccessful. Go to someone who'll go, why don't you give it a go, what have you got to lose? Have a crack. Yeah, so confidence is actually, that would be the mindset. Confident people go, I'm probably not the best writer in the whole world, but I'll have a crack. Give it a bit of a go. Yeah, I like that attitude. They have different mindsets, whereas these guys have talked themselves out of it before the baby's even, I don't know, happened. You know, the baby hasn't even been one cell separated yet. You know, in terms of birthing an idea, you all know that concept, don't you? Birthing an idea. Just be careful with your ideas really early on, because when they're in an embryo, they're very easy to kill. When they start to grow and they're sort of 7-8 months gestation in here, is that the right word? They're a little bit more robust, they're likely to last. Then they sort of push out, they're going to be pretty tough to get the hell out of there. And then, once a baby has gone through that first year, they're a little bit stronger, aren't they? They're not going to just die of a cold. And then by the time the toddler comes along, they're pretty robust, they bounce, you can chuck them anywhere, whatever. And by the time you get to us, it's pretty difficult to kill you. But notice when the little baby is just so tiny, careful what you do with your ideas. Because it's so easy just to stab you in the stomach and it's dead. Yeah? It's a great analogy, I reckon. Get down, get dirty, not very sexy, let's move on. Great. Is that better? Okay, so confidence is so sexy. So what do you give yourself currently? What would you like it to be? We all need to be working on this. And, yeah. What do you give yourself currently for confidence, generally speaking? What did you write down? 5 to 6. Yeah, 5 to 6, fantastic. What would you, deepest heart's desire, what would you love to be?
8.
Yeah, I'd like an 8 for you too. You've got to be out in the world. Because why waste it? Look at it. She's been born for a reason. I want that beautiful face on brochures, I want it on websites, I want it on books, I want it up here next year, whatever. Last one is being human. One of the sexiest things, and Virginia talked about it yesterday, you know, being authentic and everything. This is all about, everything I say in the book and everything I'm saying today is all from a point of view of you being real. And when people are human, do you know what that means? Do you know what it is to actually be human and to make people, not make people, but naturally have people connect with you? Do you know the one thing that has to happen? Any idea?
Natural.
Yes, definitely be natural. Vulnerability. So I'm going to write a book called Strategic Vulnerability. Nobody laughed? Okay, so that's a good sign. All right, so strategic vulnerability is where you don't go around saying, oh, I'm a dreadful speaker. Good luck when I get up there today. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Oh, dear. Oh. Right? See how I'm being so vulnerable? It's disgusting. So now she's like, oh, well, I don't even want to see her speak. Yeah? So it's not about going around telling everyone your faults and your weaknesses and you're terrible at this and da-da-da. That's not being vulnerable. Vulnerability is simply looking for opportunities in your business every day with your friends, family and colleagues to go, oh my gosh, I've made a mistake. And here's the difference. When a boss comes up and goes, this is no vulnerability. Anyway, so we've, big mistake. I packed all the envelopes, printed off all the labels, and I think something happened in the Excel spreadsheet and a bit of a cell got twisted. Anyway, all the envelopes I sent out yesterday were all wrong. Just wondering if you could sort that out. I don't know who did it, but what a fuck up. Okay, can you see the arrogance in all of that? Not taking personal responsibility, da 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 da. Here's how it would look. If I had actually done that, I would go up and go, you're not going to believe it, I've done a massive big mistake. This is what's happened. Is there any chance that you could help me? Because I've got to redo all of them and send them all out again today. Is there any way? My heart's opened. I'm open for criticism for people going, oh, what a stupid mistake is that? This is a real basic one we probably all have done. You get the idea? So there's a strategic vulnerability. So it's not about being all over the place, telling everyone your weaknesses all the time. Keep that to yourself. Work with your coach, your therapist on all of that stuff. But every now and again, look for opportunities to go, I get to show someone my vulnerability, and it's usually in your cock-ups, normally. Make sense? All right, so you give yourself a rating on how true are you to yourself, how human are you, and how willing are you to be vulnerable at the right moments. At the right moments. Because that's pretty bloody sexy, I reckon, being human. All right, so does anyone know the sexy language of the unconscious mind? Anyone done anything on the unconscious mind or anything like that? No? Yeah, you do. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so do you know that 40% of people are visual? Write that down. 40% of people are visual. 20% are auditory and 40% are kinesthetic. So what that means is to turn your clients into advocates, you must understand their language of their unconscious mind. So when I'm building a relationship with someone, even at the pub, flirting at the original start of the relationship, I'm looking out for predicates, listening out for predicates. And a visual person will say, oh my God, I saw you from across the room. I love what you're wearing. I saw your beautiful face and couldn't resist those eyes. Can you hear all the visual predicates in that? Yeah? Whereas an auditory person will come up and go, couldn't wait to talk to you. Talk? They're talkers. Auditory people will chat, and need to chat to understand, need to chat to tell, da-da-da. Oh, I wondered what your voice would sound like. I've got to go, your voice is too screechy. But they won't actually say that. What they'll do is, imagine if a guy went up to a girl and they introduced themselves, they're really sexy. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. And she went, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, God, I was really waiting for you to come up. Okay, well, he's off. One of the best investments you can make, women, is in your voice. I don't know if anyone is a voice expert, but my voice is put at a place that's not too high and not too low. It's still authentically me, but I'm trained to sit it there so that men can listen and women can listen. So if anyone in the room has issues with their voice, like, hi, I'm so breathy. It's because you're such a beautiful person. You think you're amazing. Men think you're a lightweight and can't bear to listen to you any longer. And women find it a little bit insipid as well. So you don't want me standing up there going, I'm a lightweight. All right, you also don't want me coming up here going, so anyway, yes, I'm in my masculine energy right now, and boy, am I going to talk to you about sex and style. That's not going to happen. So you've got to pitch it just right. So with customers, and auditory people are super duper sensitive to this. And the higher their auditory reading, the more important this is. So if you've got a beautiful voice that people can relate to, auditories will buy off you every time. If you look right, and your brochures look like it, everything looks right, the visuals can't resist you. Your kinesthetics, it's not about the looks, it's not about how it sounds, it's how it feels for them. So if they don't feel right talking to you on the phone, they'll get an intuitive, empathic reading, and they'll go, yeah. Just touching. So kinesthetics love to, they invented the handshake so that they could get a cut of the jib immediately on meeting. What happens with a kinesthetic is all my data goes down into the kinesthetic, and the kinesthetic sucks up all the data, and I know straight away if I like you. Does that make sense? So kinesthetics, the higher the K, the more sensitive they are to that download. Does that make sense? So when you're massaging them, can you imagine a high kinesthetic having the wrong person touch them? They cannot enjoy that massage. They just come out going, I don't know why, I just didn't like it. And if you feel that, if you're a kinesthetic and the energy's not right, you'll know too. Because often, who's an actual massage therapist? Okay, you guys are in the touch business, so you're likely to be highly kinesthetic. And the problem with you being a professional is you have to touch people that don't feel right. So that's so hard for you. But you guys above it, you're a professional, you give them all your love and nurturing, and with the right gorgeous energy that you probably have, you could probably switch the energy to a certain degree and make it good for them and you. But you get the idea, and anyone that loves touch, anyone that comes, oh, hi, how are you? Oh my God. Those people, they're called touchy-feely people. Sorry. Touchy-feely people, they can be too extreme as well. So the idea is if you are touchy-feely, the idea is to have some behaviour, to not have to, mount somebody on arrival every time. And with me, my problem is when I was learning to speak, is I used to touch my body all the time. And so my teacher said, just some feedback, Katrena, you've touched your boobs about 95 times. I don't want to deal with that issue, so I don't know how many times I've done this, but I haven't actually touched them. So, I'm getting better, but still you'll notice my hands are very close to touching my body. And I also love, I want to touch the people. It's like an electricity need. You have to touch the people. You get the idea? And so what extreme do you want? So hands up who thinks they're kind of visual. It's important. They often look good. They'll have colour on. So I would say pink, orange, green, orange. Can you see the colour in the room? You've got a higher visual reading than you would have with navy blue. Not a lot of colour. Sort of grey, grey. Yeah, so you're kinesthetic, that's why you love my touch just then. All black here, so not highly visual. You're actually visual.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Okay, so yes, okay, gotcha. All right, so hands up who thinks they're kind of highly visual or has had the test. And if you're interested, just email me and I'll send you a quick little test so you can get your reading. You'll have reading in all four, guys. Everyone is a visual, you're not blind. Everyone is auditory, but you're not deaf. And everyone is kinesthetic. It's to what degree? And if you can work that out, once you study this just for a little minute, you can pick somebody as they walk in the door. It's my party trick. Well, I didn't do very well there, but anyway. Now, the read-write one is the level of detail they like. So, who is highly detailed in the room? like give me more detail, the better. What will be happening is if somebody comes in and they're not very highly detailed, what you'll watch is their eyes glaze over. Usually visuals don't like a lot of detail. A picture says 1,000 words to them. So there's you going, so then the skin of the, technical terms of the skin, and then and then if you read this encyclopedia, it's amazing, and you really get to understand all the details of it. I just came in for a fucking facial. I mean, seriously. Stop talking to me. Just give me a facial. All right, so careful, detailed people. If you are high on the detail, for the average person, you'll have to tone it down. You think the information's fantastic, yeah. But 40% of people are visual, they just saw the brochure, they've already bought it. Just give it to me. Kinesthetics go, I don't care about all the scientific details, I just want you to touch me. And auditories, they like a little bit of detail, so they'll want to talk to you about the treatment beforehand. So that makes sense, doesn't it? Enough said, I'd love to talk about it for 2 days, but I can't. How sexy is your personal brand? I recommend you all build your brand, understand your brand, read a book about personal brand, get out into the world and draw the customers to you. Because when you stand up here, there's a whole bunch of stuff you just get when you stand up here. So if you're an expert in your field, which let's assume you are, or an expert in your area, please go out and speak and have a brand, be the expert in that. And if you can write a quick book, even an e-book these days, write a quick e-book and send that out to everyone at your speech. Or on your website, be the expert. It's been said a number of times here. And how to be a sexy psychologist is just simply understanding whatever behaviour you see at the top, what's driving that is the values, beliefs, attitudes, where they're from culturally, and what they've inherited from being born at that point in time in that particular family. So, get a copy of this. We'll give out some pictures of this, but just understanding that the behaviour you see, like somebody being rude to you, or a customer complaining, is just the top of the iceberg. What's driving that behaviour? You've got to understand this. And that's very sexy to be a psychologist and to understand people at that level, being able to pick up their values and to sell to them based on those values, etc. And full breadth of behaviour. Has anyone done DISC? DISC, yeah? DISC is a good one. This is essentially DISC. This is DISC understanding that some people are Ds, dominance, some people are Is, some people are S's, some people are C's. When you email me, I'll send you a quiz. You can do another quiz, find out where you are, and you'll create your little numbers on that thing. But I don't care what you are. What I care about is, can you do it all? So when the D comes in, they'll go, I'd like an appointment at 4:45, I've got available. And you go, okay, so you act and match and mirror that and go, let me find out for you, won't be a moment, I'll be right back to you, come on, 4:30, look, we can't make 4:30, let's make 5. Is that okay with you? Good, okay, see you then. And the D's like, I like the cut of her jib, I'm going back here. Whereas at the opposite of D's, S's will do this is what they'll do to the D's. Oh, I'm really intimidated by what you just said. 4:30, we don't have any 4:30, so please, Erin, I just want to make sure everyone's really happy. The D goes, oh my God, don't worry about it then. Right? Now, it's not that the D was rude, it wasn't the D was a bully, the D's just being their D self, they're very assertive, direct, and the S's are not. So if you want to know where does conflict come in your business, it'll come from this, the opposite of these, both ways. If you want to know how to talk to a customer, know what they are, and you'll be able to pick these people in 3 seconds because they'll fit in one of these quadrants. You can sell to them, talk to them, work on them, whatever. And that's the next little bit is the volume dial. It's just being able to turn your volume up and down just to suit. So just one final one is, forget in the 90s we did win-win. In the noughties we did the win-win-win. Now it's the win-win-win-win. Got to be a win in it for you personally. Got to be a win in it for the company. Got to be a win in it for your suppliers. There's got to be a win in it, obviously, for the end user. Do all your deals, all your decisions, all based on how it fits into the window of opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Really expecting a presentation that came with a rating scale, but I'm fascinated by that. It looks like there's a couple of questions up the back from the...
Email address, please.
I use business cards.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
business cards up here, we'll put
Thank
that on
you.
I'll put them out on the...
Thank you.
Yes.
They will die to ask the question.
We haven't got time.
Look how it goes.
Too much scary.
I just want to give one question.
And came with his around 11 years of experience in the industry, he has exposure, which is interesting that we've just had, to many councils. Retail 101, very businessy day to day, which is so this is all about, again, successful style sales.
Well, here we are, and I'm here to talk about retail. So I'm going to open with a little quote from my dad. And my dad was in sales for many, many years, and I know he was in sales because his office was next to my bedroom. And as a newbie teenager, I'd be lying in bed trying to be moody as you are, and my dad would be talking to Taiwan at 7 a.m. in the morning. And he always thought that if he just shouted really loudly and then talked really slowly, that they would understand him in Taiwan. And it used to wake him up every morning. So I'll never forget my dad in sales. And for many years he's been a guide for me. My dad always used to say to me, "Shy Ben, get now." Does anybody know what that means? So if you say